Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to the latest episode of New Music Weekly. This is the show where I give you guys the top 5 prog headlines for the week, talk about the top 5 prog singles, and give you updates on my channel and what's been happening and what is going to happen in the near future. So today was an interesting list of news items. I thought it was a pretty cool week of some good stuff from some notable artists. It's December 9th, 2022 when I'm filming this. And let's get into the news. And as always, just a quick reminder, subscribe if you haven't yet. That would always help the channel and give you guys notifications and alerts when my content goes up, especially my weekly news videos every Friday. Like and comment the videos as well would be much appreciated. All the support is very well received here and I'm very grateful for everybody. So getting into item number 1, I mentioned them last week, but here they are again. Haken shared their new single, The Alphabet of Me, from their upcoming 7th album, Fauna. I talked last week about how they had this little slide puzzle thing online that you could solve in order to see the album cover and a little snippet from, I believe, from this track from the album. And so it was the first tease for the album, but now we've got proper news about the album's release and this first official single. Of course, we did have Nightingale, which came out earlier this year, but this is the first single in this new marketing iteration leading up to the album itself, which is coming out on March 3rd. The album's up for pre-order in all the different formats you'd expect on LP and CD and all of that kind of stuff. So you can go out and pre-order it on whatever vinyl, whatever variant. All of that stuff is available to order. But the single itself, The Alphabet of Me, is a really fascinating song. It shows them leaning into somewhat of a quirkier, poppier direction in some ways. But doesn't sacrifice any of the complexity or any of the proggy layers in their sound. So it's a really cool blend and mixture of a lot of different things and showcases the band really stretching their wings and doing something very experimental and different. Could isolate certain audience members if they like more of the heavier Haken sound, but there's even a bit of that baked in here also. It's just there's so many different things and influences. The band's been talking about the themes on the upcoming album and where their heads are at with it. Ross Jennings talks about how they're exploring new ideas conceptually. The premise of the album when we started writing it was that every song would have an animal assigned to it. They all have something related to the animal kingdom that we could write about, but also connect to the human world. And each track has layers, and some of them are more obvious than others. So I think it's a fascinating concept to have each song represent a different animal, but also reflects into the human condition as well and the world we live in. So Richard Henshaw says it reminds him of The Mountain, how there's not a narrative-based concept, but more of an overarching concept. Like on that album, the concept was climbing a mountain and overcoming obstacles along the way. And this is about the different animals and how they can relate to the everyday lives of humans. So that is really interesting, and it's bringing in new keyboard player Peter Jones, return of Peter Jones, who was part of the band initially early on in their run and then left. Diego came in and was their keyboardist through the run of most of their albums up to this point, but Peter Jones is back and adding a different sonic quality to the album as well. So there's going to be a lot of changes and a lot of cool, interesting new things on this record, I think, and it should be a fascinating one. March 3rd is when it comes out, and I can't wait. I'll be talking about it heavily on the channel. You can expect that because they're one of my favorite artists of all time and one of my favorite prog bands of this newer prog generation. Item number 2, Big Big Train share a live video for new seasonal single Snowfalls. Of course, this was a track that was released before, part of their Christmas duology. They have a song called Merry Christmas and then this song Snowfalls, so very evocative of the holidays and such. But this is a live version of it from a recent tour they did in this autumn in the Netherlands. It looks like September 5th at the Bordage venue in Zoetermeer. So it's more of a melancholy Christmas song, says Greg Spotton, about the loneliness that people feel at a time of year when others are able to celebrate with family and friends. So a little bit melancholy, but still evocative of the spirit of the holidays. And it's just such a beautiful track. And this performance really showcases Alberto Bravin, who's the newest singer to replace David Lungden, who unfortunately passed away last year. So it really is a good exploration into the new makeup of the band and what their new singer sounds like, and to see a performance from them, to see what you can expect in their future performances. So really a great track, Snowfalls. Really great at this Christmas season to hear this track, along with Merry Christmas. Proper Jack Froster, which was on their earlier release, is also very wintry, Christmas heavy. So they have a lot of seasonal tracks that I think work well for this time of year. So a really cool prog band to listen to during the holidays, in my mind. Headline number 3, I saw that Peter Gabriel released a little snippet from his upcoming I.O. album and tour, where he's talking about the tour that's coming up and how they're going to be playing a lot of new material, that he's really basically has a whole album crafted. And so the hope is that this album will come out soon accompanying this tour, but there's really no release date as of yet for the album proper. But it's exciting for fans of Peter Gabriel and leading up to this big tour that he's doing in 2023. So just wanted to present that and put in the description the little YouTube clip. It's like less than a minute long, but pretty much just signifies Peter Gabriel's intent to play this new material, play it out on the road, and hopefully lead to a full-on new album called I.O. next year that should be a notable release that will be covered, I'm sure, if it comes out. You know, it's one of those albums that's been rumored for a long time, and people are skeptical if it'll actually ever get a full release, but it looks like we're heading towards that direction, and so I wanted to mention that in this news item here. Item number 4, Leprous announced Aphelion Tour Edition and live 2022 releases ahead of European headlining tour in February and March of 2023. So they have a couple of new updated releases that are out. Leprous, of course, is a Norwegian prog rock metal-ish band. They've been going in a more atmospheric, lighter direction lately, but they're really notable in the prog sphere. Aphelion was an incredible album that came out last year that was on my end-of-year album list. I really loved that record. And so this is a new tour edition, which adds some bonus tracks, some extra things, some live tracks from their recent gigs. So that is coming out February 3rd on Inside Out Music. Basically in promotion of their upcoming tour in Europe with Monuments and Calandra as support acts. So it's going to be released as a limited 2-CD digipack and as a digital album featuring the original Aphelion album, its 2 initial bonus tracks, as well as separate brand new live bonus disc of 6 tracks equaling about 40 minutes of stuff recorded this year during the first leg of the Aphelion touring campaign at Motoculture Festival in France and in Berlin, Germany. So that's what you can expect on this edition, and that 6-track live section will also be released as its own separate LP as well. Live 2022 is what that's going to be called. So just cool news for fans of Leprous, and really signaling their upcoming tour and their upcoming activities. So I wanted to mention that. And Prog headline number 5, Kansas share a new version of Can I Tell You from their new compilation, Another Fork in the Road, 50 Years of Kansas, which I've mentioned this compilation before. Kansas are a legendary prog band from the US, when most of the prog bands back in those days were, of course, from the UK and otherwise, out there in different parts of the world. There wasn't much notable prog acts in America, but Kansas sort of plants the flag for that. So this is a cool retrospective, career-spanning set that I think a lot of people who love prog and love the same kind of music I do will be very interested in. But this is really cool. They're re-releasing this early song from their catalog. I believe it was on their early debut album, self-titled debut. So it's interesting they're pulling from so deep in their history to re-record Can I Tell You with their current lineup. So it basically gives a full circle on their career, going back from their first album and bringing it into their newest lineup. And so it's a really cool recording of Can I Tell You. I'm putting it as one of the top prog singles, so you can check it out at the link in the description if you're interested to hear it and what it sounds like. And it just is a good premonition for what the band's doing and what this new compilation will be like. So definitely recommend looking into this career-spanning retrospective, 50 years of Kansas. And what's interesting is, because of licensing issues, the US version is different from the European version. There's slightly different things in the track listing to keep notice of, but it should be a really cool release that I think a lot of people will enjoy, certainly. A cool retrospective, a 3 CD digipack collection, so quite a bit of music to enjoy there. Into the top 5 Prog singles. I've talked about many of them. Haken's The Alphabet of Me is in the Prog singles list, an incredible new track from Haken. Big Big Train Snowfalls live version is on the list as well. A really incredible showcase for the band and the Alberto Bravin's incredible vocals. Kansas Can I Tell You's 2022 version from their upcoming compilation is in there. But also I have E-Molecule came out with a new single called Beyond Belief. E-Molecule is former Sound of Contact members Simon Collins and Kelly Nordstrom returning with a new band, a new album called E-Molecule. So this is a cool signal towards what their sound is like. Very modern, very more in the modern alternative landscape perhaps, but with some prog flourishes. It sounds interesting. Their debut album will be coming out February 10th next year on Inside Out Music. So definitely will be cool to check out what the album sounds like. And I also included the Winery Dogs' new track called Xanadu. It is not a cover of the Rush song Xanadu. It's their own original from their upcoming third album titled 3, coming out February 3rd this next year. Another album I'll probably be talking about. Certainly not very proggy, but more in the hard rock, just straightforward classic rock vein. And it's just really a catchy, fun, cool song featuring Mike Portnoy, of course, and so Richie Kotzen and Billy Sheehan as well is on that record. So it's a trio, just a cool rock trio that is playing really fun classic material, and so I'm really excited for that release as well for a bit of fun. So that is what I have for you guys, the big prog news of the week. As for the channel this week, I had a top 5. I'm starting to do some top 5s that are more retrospectives for this year. This one was the top 5 concerts I attended this year, so that was a lot of fun to go into. Please check out that video if you're curious about the concerts that I was able to attend this year. I'm doing another retrospective type episode next week, where I talk about my favorites of our Jana Reacts / Prog Song Sunday series, my favorite videos we've done this year in that series. So if you're a big fan of Jana Reacts or Prog Song Sunday, that will definitely be one worth checking out. We also put out our final Classic Albums 101 episode for the year, our season finale, we're calling it, from Queen's Night at the Opera is the album we covered. We also did a reaction to the Prophet song in that video, so please check that out. It seems like a lot of people are enjoying that, a lot of big Queen fans who've been chiming in the comments and such, so really happy for the response in that one. And I really enjoy doing that series with Jan. I know it's probably not our most popular series, the videos are a bit long, and we do these long discussions about these albums, but it's really a great way for me to bond with my wife, to introduce her to some of these classic albums that she hasn't heard in full before, and to get her thoughts, and I think she has a really interesting, fresh perspective. So we'll be doing a lot more albums next year. Basically, we do that show about once a month, and we rank all the different albums as we go through them and see how we feel comparatively. So it's a fun experiment, and we're having fun with it. Next year, we're going to be covering the Beatles' Revolver. So, and if you're a fan of reactions, we always start it with a reaction to one of the tracks from the album, if we're allowed. Some of these bands have certain copyright concerns and don't allow their music to be played on YouTube or whatnot. So, but most of the time we're able to do a reaction to a song in those videos, and we have a lot of fun with it. So I recommend checking that out if you haven't checked out classic albums, or we're kind of afraid by the length of them. They're usually like 30 to 40 minutes sometimes. I try to keep them closer to like 30 and under, but especially with their reaction included, it can stretch out a little bit. So I just wanted to put attention towards that. But now moving forward, a lot of year-end content is coming your way. I'm going to be working on a top songs of the year list, more of a casual listen through of some of my favorite songs that I heard this year. That should be hopefully coming out this week. And then I'm going to be getting into the big album album yearly retrospective shows. I have 3 of them basically planned. One is my final year-end New Music Shuffle, where I talk about all the albums that I didn't review on the channel so far, but want to give my quick thoughts on. I'm going to do like 30 album reviews in 30 minutes, just try to rapid fire do 1-minute reviews of these albums that I just haven't been able to get to on the channel yet, but feel like I want to weigh in on. Then I'm going to do my somewhat of an honorable mentions, but basically my top 40 to top 17 albums of the year as the first part of my countdown show. And then I do the top 16 in a big tournament style, and I'm really dialing down on my picks for the top 16 and hearing them side to side and seeing how I'm going to pick my picks this year for my tournament. So it should be a lot of fun. If you like the same kind of music as me, it's a fun exploration. I'm hoping to give you guys a lot of great new music recommendations through these shows. I think that's the best thing that happens in these year-end shows. So that's a long-winded explanation of what you can expect coming soon, but it's a lot of fun. I love the year-end stuff, so I wanted to describe what you can be expecting in future episodes. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this episode and the rundown of the news, and please just keep enjoying the music out there. Thank you guys, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next video. Bye!